Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by RFA Featherweight Mark Dickman. Mark, how are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for doing it. Mark, you recently picked up a win last Friday at RFA 22. You defeated Donald Sanchez via first-round submission due to a Kimura. The good news is you got the win. The bad news is you failed to make weight. I guess let's start with the bad and finish with the good. So the bad part, obviously missing the weight. You were supposed to fight at featherweight, failed to make the 146-pound weight limit, I guess it is, with the 1 pound allowance because it wasn't a title fight. I'm just curious, why exactly weren't you able to make weight? Because, you know, obviously a teammate of yours, Chidi Njokuani, he fought in the main event. He also didn't make weight. So I got to believe where there's smoke, there's fire, and there was something else that caused you guys to miss weight. You know, what was it? Was it the travel? Was there no sauna available? You know, what exactly led to you not making weight? I know you're not looking to make an excuse, but what's the true reason why you didn't make weight?
No, it's totally separate from, there's a couple things probably. My last fight, I got away from lifting heavy weights, and, I got back to lifting Olympic style weightlifting, and so I probably put on 5 pounds, maybe a little bit more of mass, and I got a little bit too big. And then if you couple that with travel and elevation, I think it makes it hard to make weight. Now Chidi, I think his is more of a diet thing than anything else, because he just, I was with him the whole camp, and he had one of his best training camps ever, and he just the best shape he's ever been, and it just was hard for him to get down. So maybe he's just too big, but I think I just need to switch up some of my lifting routines and watch my diet a little better, and I should be a featherweight again.
Oh, okay, I see. I was just curious about that because it's very rare that we see teammates fight on the same card and both of them not make weight. So I was just really curious about why that.
It looked really bad because it was like we must have been drinking the same water. Or
right. Yeah, definitely. Now, you mentioned Chidi's camp. You said it was a very good camp for him. How was your camp in preparation for this fight? Obviously, it was smack dab in the middle of the holidays. We had Christmas, we had New Year's, and you were preparing for this fight. Now, I know you come from a wrestling background, so I'm sure this is nothing new to you. I'm sure you're used to having to work.
It is kind of annoying, but it's just something I'm grown accustomed to.
Right.
Having to deal with the holidays and having a season through the holidays. So, it was just like business as usual for me.
Right. Right. Was it a good camp?
It was a great camp, one of my best camps ever. I felt really super strong, and I was getting the results I wanted in my training. So, it's just like dialing in a little bit more, and I can, I think my next fight will be even better.
2 more things about the weight issue, and then we'll drop it. The first thing is, how low did you actually get? I know you officially weighed in at 155. I believe it was 0.6 or something like that.
I got down to 152, and I was just like, I had felt, when I got down to like 160, once under 65, I was like, I had felt like I'd already made it, and I was, that's how, it was just already a lot of weight for me, and when I got down to there, I was just like, I'm not going to make it, and I'm not going to kill myself trying to make it. I'm just going to pay the fine. And so I kind of ate a little bit so I wouldn't get sick, and then I just waited for the weigh-ins, and that's kind of why I was so far over, is like, I'm not going to kill myself and miss weight anyways, so why not just stop where I'm at and pay the fine. So that's why I was so far over. It was because I wasn't going to cut anymore, and I wasn't going to make it, so I just decided to eat and be fresh, and if he took the fight, then great. If not, then I'll just learn from it.
Right. Another thing that I was curious about, because you had to give up 20% to Donald Sanchez because you missed the weight, and I don't want to stick my nose where it doesn't belong, but financially, did you make any money for this fight?
I did, and I ended up giving him 50% on my purse.
Oh.
So, I felt like that was fair, and he didn't have to take the fight. And I'm probably going to get a suspension on top of it. So, I'm going to pay, and this is not something I habitually do. So, I feel like, be done and over with, and people should just let it die. Because, and I made a few mistakes, but I'm going to learn from them.
Definitely.
I paid my dues, and
now the fight pretty much played out the way I saw it playing out. I don't really know how much the weight difference had to do, if anything. I kind of saw the fight playing out the way.
Honestly, I would rematch him. I would say, and if I didn't make the weight, I'd give him my entire purse, and I still finish him. Mm-hmm. So the skill was my skill on the ground trumps anything that he does, and his stand-up is not better than my stand-up. So I felt like, I don't think it would go any other way, even if I did make the weight. So
right. I agree. Some people were talking about, he weighed in way heavier than him. There was a big size difference, but
if I had knocked him out, that would be a difference. Mm-hmm. But jiu-jitsu is designed for smaller people to beat bigger people, and I think somebody that's only 10 pounds heavier than you definitely have a decent chance, if you have skill, to keep it close and not get submitted. Mm-hmm. I can understand maybe 20, 30 pounds that you're bigger than somebody. It gets a little harder, but jiu-jitsu is designed for the smaller person to beat somebody bigger.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, overall, how pleased were you with your performance?
The whole time I was thinking, I really want to stand up, and I want to try to drop them with my hands, and then it was just too easy for me to just pick them up and slam them. So I stayed with it, and that was it. I wish I would have stood a little bit longer with them, just to kind of see how it would be. But I just when I was in there, I went for the takedown.
Mm-hmm. I know you said the game plan was to stand up and strike and then try to drop him, and then once you got him to the ground, finish him off there. I know you said you wanted to do a lot of striking in this fight, but you got a first-round stoppage. You submitted Donald Sanchez in the first rounds, and it was a great performance, a dominant win. I know one of your coaches, Sergio Pena, he was very pleased with your performance. You finished him on the ground with a submission, and he's your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach. But I'm just curious, what did One Kick Nick think about your performance? Obviously, he's your stand-up coach, and the game plan for this fight was to do a lot of stand-up. So what did he think about your performance?
I think if you want to make it to that next level, you have to fight a certain way. And, he wished it would have went a little bit longer to see how it would play out. But, obviously the win is good. And they were disappointed I didn't make weight. Mm-hmm. But, either way, I got out of there quick. So I feel like, they're happy with the win, but there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of fighter is One Kick Nick trying to mold you into? Is he trying to mold you into a fighter who uses his striking to set up takedowns and set up the wrestling, or is he trying to mold you into a fighter who, yes, your bread and butter is your wrestling, that's your main tool, but in case that doesn't work, we need to have the striking in our back pocket so you can use it if, for whatever reason, your wrestling isn't working in a fight? What kind of fighter is he trying to mold you into?
Well, right now, for me and my style, I'm most effective when I mix it up. Mm-hmm. So I can't just think wrestling, and that's what I did in my last fight. I just got so stuck on, if I get it down, it's over. And, sometimes they may score it out of the cage. They may score it left, they may score it right, but I got to keep trying to score points and set up the strikes, because when people are worried about the strikes, they get caught in the striking battle. They give up the takedowns easier. But if you're only thinking wrestling, it'll be a lot easier to stop you.
When Pat Miletich was doing the post-fight interview with you, I looked at some of your cornermen who were standing behind you. The camera was showing them, and they were standing behind you, and I didn't see a lot of smiles. It didn't seem like the guys in the back were happy for you. Obviously, they were happy that you won, but it didn't seem, to me, it seemed like something was off. Was it just the fact that you missed weight, and it kind of made the whole win a little bit, because it was a first-time thing. You never missed weight before. So did failing to make weight, did that factor in? Because I didn't see many smiles.
Even though we won, me and Chidi won, I felt like we lost, because we didn't fulfill our what we signed up to do, and the fact that I didn't make the weight, and then I might have popped his arm. My coach was thinking, oh, you already did that, you should have choked him instead of trying to break his arm. So he was just trying to look for I don't know, I guess that would have been the better thing to do, is to choke him instead of try to break his arm and cause more damage.
Mm-hmm. Now, talk to me how you were able to set up the submission that you ended up getting, because once you went for a takedown and got him to the ground, it looked like you were already fishing for an arm, and then there was some more movement, and then eventually you got the Kimura. Could you talk me through how you were able to get the finish?
Well, I took him down in half guard, and he was shrimping real well, so I trapped his arm, and then as soon as he kind of stops bridging, I let go of the arm and I grabbed the inside of his leg to kill his underhook. And then once I did that, he bridged again to try to get out, and then I released the half guard. And then once I was in side control, it was pretty much over. I slid to north south, wrapped the triangle up, and then I started to attack his arm. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Once I get on that top position and passing guard, it's pretty hard to get me off.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, I know you said the game plan wasn't executed in the fight. You kind of wavered away from the game plan, but still, again, you get the first round submission, so everything's good. But Donald Sanchez, he's been around for a while now. He's a real veteran. He's fought a lot of tough guys. He's been around for a long time. Were you expecting more resistance? Were you expecting a tougher fight? Because I know we touched on it a little bit earlier. His skills and your skills, you're way more well-rounded than he is, and what he does good, you just do a lot better. So, were you expecting more resistance in the fight?
Honestly, I was, because he had fought a lot of tough guys. He got beat by him, but he fought guys in the UFC, he fought guys in 1FC and Bellator, and he's hard to finish. So he's very experienced, and so I really did. I thought it was gonna be, could go 3 rounds.
Where do you go after this win? Because obviously it was a big win for you because you beat a veteran guy in quick fashion, and also you were coming off a loss in your last fight. Before that, you fought for the title against Justin Lawrence and lost the decision. So you were coming off a loss, and you got back into the win column and did it in an impressive fashion. But then, again, I hate to bring this up. I'm sorry to do it, but again, there's this weight issue. So where do you think you go after this win? Is it I
don't think the weight's going to be an issue.
Right.
It's just something about dialing in my weight training and getting my cardio and then my diet. So it's not something. It's just something that I did, I was just a little too overzealous about, and I was getting good games and I was getting stronger, but you don't have to be that strong and for my weight class. So I got to find out if or how long I'm suspended, and then me and Ed and Mark Berry and my coaches will figure out what the next step is, whether it's the title shot or not, So I'm just pretty much waiting to see what the commission says. Hopefully they think the 50% fine that I paid and the apology was enough. So if not, I'll do my time and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, what did Ed Soares and the rest of the people from RFA, what did they say to you before the fight, after the fight? Give us Give us some insight. What did they say to you after the fight, if anything?
They were disappointed that I did make the weight. They understand this is something that I do, and I'm not accustomed to doing that. I was just upfront with them, told them what was going on, and I told them I would take full responsibility and do whatever it takes to make it right. So they respected that, and they're ready to move on too.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, Justin Lawrence, he's the RFA Featherweight champion. You guys have fought each other in the past, and in a way, if they give you a title shot and give you that rematch, you're killing two birds with one stone, but you never know, because the UFC, they really look at the RFA, they want to grab up all the top guys there. Who knows? This suspension happens, he might not be the champion, or he might be called up to the UFC. But let's say the suspension is maybe a month, 30 days, something like that, and they're able to book a rematch between you and him for the title, or they just give you a title shot against somebody and it's a vacant belt. Any scenario works, but what do you want more? Do you want a rematch against Justin Lawrence, or do you want the RFA title? Because obviously Lawrence beat you in the past, but the RFA title, that's your ticket to the big show. That's your ticket to the UFC. You look at the champions that have fought for RFA. What do you want more?
You know what? They're both good fights. We one for the belt or the rematch. So if I get, like you said, if I could get both of them in the same, that'd be great. But I'm sure we'll meet up either way, somewhere sooner or later. So I think a rematch would be nice, but the belt, it would also be nice. Whether it's if he gets called away or and it's vacant, then whoever else I'll be focused on.
Now I'm just curious, are you exclusive to RFA? Because I noticed on your record you fought for RFA at RFA 1, RFA 3, and RFA 6, and then you fought 2 fights outside of RFA, and then ever since you've been fighting for RFA. So I'm just curious, are you exclusive now with them?
Pretty much. There was a problem with the matchmaker before, and we didn't see eye to eye, and he had guys that he wanted to push. So whenever I did step out of the RFA, that was because I just couldn't get a fight, and I have good relations with the guys. The guy that started it, he was kind of my manager from the beginning. I'm not at that level where I need his kind of management, but when I get to that next level, he's definitely going to help me out. But he's kind of got an eye on me and directing me. So I've always had good ties with the RFA. I don't have like some exclusive contract with them.
Oh, I see.
But it's kind of like we're good friends, and they want to promote me and help me out, and so I don't know what kind of.
Okay. I see. Now I'm just curious. John Fitch, he started training at One Kicks. He's a veteran guy of this sport. He's been around for a very long time. He was the number 1 welterweight in the world behind GSP. Has tons of knowledge about this sport. Since he's come into the gym and since he's been working with you guys there, how much has your game improved, and how much have you learned from him?
Oh man, he's got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to like grinding people, and he knows how to get the takedowns and really he knows how to punish people from the top, and he's got a system that he likes that he calls like the smash, and it's pretty effective. And he's just a great leader. He's a good coach. He really brings the team together. So he's got that leadership quality about him that really brings the team together. He's a good family man, and he's a smart guy. So and he's got a lot of experience. So and he comes from a wrestling background, so it really, I really kind of match up well with him. So, it's nothing been great for me. So can't complain there.
How many pros are at One Kicks nowadays? Because I know in the past they've said they'd like to keep it, around 8 to 10 pro guys. Is it still around that number, or are there more guys coming in and out?
I would say there's probably about 8 to 10 pros. You know?
Okay. And do you do any cross-training with other places? I mean, obviously the two coaches that you got are for stand-up and grappling are top-notch, but, obviously you're in Vegas, and that's, I can throw a rock and hit a gym in Vegas. So do you go to any other places?
We recipe in our two schools, so we're actually trying to implement a new rule this year that, if you're going to train with us, that you can't train anywhere else except for Sergio's in our place. We want to eliminate people that are gym hoppers, people that could potentially have teammates that could go against guys like us on our team, and they would have insight to what we're doing because they only do their striking here at our place, but they'll do their wrestling or jiu-jitsu somewhere else, somewhere that we're not trying to help anybody else out. So that's kind of what we are. We don't pretty much if you're in this city. You don't train anywhere else. It's kind of like cheating on your girl.
Okay. I see. Now, between the two gyms, is it 50-50? Do you go every day to both gyms, or do you go 3 times a week to Nick's gym and then 2 times a week to Sergio's gym? How do you divide the time?
Most of it's, for me, the grappling part is pretty. I'm pretty much good there. So I only really do maybe 3 or 4 days there, and then some days I'm going twice to Nick's for one kicks. Whether it be stand-up sparring or the pro class over there. So I really try to focus on my stand-up now, and then the transition into the wrestling, and then the jiu-jitsu is pretty. I don't really do too much of the gi, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and then 2 no gi days.
I see. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, I have a pretty good idea how you got this nickname. Your nickname is Tricky and Tricky Dicky. Your last name is Dickman. It has a good ring to it. But I was reading something online. I can't remember where I saw it, but there was something about President Nixon. Something how this is how does this tie in with you? How does a former president and a up and coming MMA fighter, how does this get combined?
Well, you might have to ask one of my old coaches, Rico Ciparelli. He's the one that kind of started calling me Tricky Dicky. So, and that kind of just stuck from there.
Why exactly did he start calling you Tricky? Do you know?
I don't know. Well, I tried to give myself a nickname, the Freak. There's not really anything freakish about me except I have really long arms. Mm-hmm. So it just didn't fit, and so he I guess he thought I was kind of tricky, like kind of deceiving, because I don't sometimes I don't look like much, but I'll surprise you.
Let's go back to your first loss against Jordan Rinaldi. Is he still your roommate? Are you guys still living together?
No, he actually decided to move back. I think he was ready to start a family, and he had been away from his girl for a while, and he was putting strain on it, and so he decided to move back. He was with us for a year, but while he was here, he was a great help, and he was a great training partner.
Okay. Now, that loss was the first loss ever for you. You had been 12-0 as an amateur, and up until that point, you were 5-0 as a pro. How did you take it? How did you take that loss, and what did you learn from that loss?
Oh, man, I got my butt whipped, my nose broken, my hand broken. I just crawled in a hole for a month, basically, and, was just planning my revenge,
Right.
When you I don't take losing very lightly, so I think it just made me reevaluate how I was training and what I was doing, and just like anything, you try to fix the problems and get better at it. So, it made me grow as a person, as a fighter. It was a good thing for me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have lost to a better dude.
Right. How did you go from, being two guys fighting each other to two guys living together? How did that all come together?
It was kind of like, the RFA had a fighter house, and me and my roommate Tyler Perry were living there, they had one or two other fighters come through there and stay for a little bit, but it was mostly just me and him. And he was looking to get some wrestling in, and so he talked to the promoter, and they kind of set it up to where we'd be living together. So that's kind of how it came down. And I thought it was a good chance. They asked me if I'd have a problem with it. I was like, hell no, I want to try to get him back.
Right.
So, I was just like, yeah, bring him in, and we battled. It was kind of like every day I got a chance to get him back.
I see. Now, will you be cornering him on Saturday night? He's fighting for World Series of Fighting in Vegas, so are you going to be in his corner?
Yeah, actually I will.
Okay. I was just curious about that. And since you're going to be at the World Series of Fighting show, do you anticipate those guys, talking to you a little? Because obviously you're one of the top featherweight prospects around, and organizations like Bellator and World Series of Fighting, they're looking for guys just like you. So do you anticipate them saying, hey, or has there been any contact with those guys? Because obviously I think we pretty much know what your goal is, but have these other organizations, talked to you?
One FC, Bellator,
those ones.
Nick and they got good ties with Coker and their guys, and Cepho, and so those are our options. But I think those will always be there. I'm kind of waiting for the bigger one, and so we're trying to play my cards right. I'm not in a hurry, and I gotta be ready when I get to that next level. So if it takes another fight or two, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. You're right there. I mean, if they give you a title shot against Justin Lawrence next, then you are right there. One win away from getting that.
Yeah,
so
I'm close.
Yeah,
I'm so close.
You're real close. You're definitely real close. Now let's just say they do an Ultimate Fighter for 145 or 155, because I guess a lot of guys in the past they like to do a weight class above, because if you make it all the way to the finals, you're fighting 3 or 4 times in 6 weeks, so it's easier to cut weight if you go in a weight class above, and then when you make it to the UFC, they drop down to their regular weight class. So let's just say the Ultimate Fighter the next season is 145 or 155. Would you be open to that, or is that really not something that you'd be interested in because you're so close?
I got a lot of roots here. I got a good kids program that I'm building, so I don't know, and a jiu-jitsu program along with a wrestling club that I'm trying to get going. So I don't know if being away from that would be a good thing. So I don't know if that's the route I want to go.
Okay.
I've thought about that before, but and I could probably get on the show, but the way I make my living is fighting and teaching, and I enjoy coaching. So I don't know if I could just put that on hold and leave those guys. So to go do that.
Okay, that makes sense. I see. Was that always your plan? Was your plan to teach, to coach? Was that always?
Originally, when I first started, when I was an amateur, I was like, I got to get on Ultimate Fighter. But then, after talking to management and stuff like that, they told me to never go on the show because, it's just they get locked down for 3 years for no money, and it is a good way to get on the show, but it's just kind of, I think, from what they're telling me, that it's just not a very good deal to be in.
Okay. Now, what I was referring to was the part about how you're teaching the youth, you're coaching the youth. Was that always your plan? Were you always interested in coaching?
Honestly, it wasn't always the plan, but it's just something came about because of I tried getting jobs before where nightclub jobs, and it just wasn't the right fit. It was not getting enough sleep, and the schedule was too crazy, so my training would suffer. So it just out of necessity that this is how I can work and make some money and make a living on time, and then still be able to train full time.
Okay. Okay, I see. When you were a kid growing up, and even in your high school days and teenage days, all those, what did you want to be when you grew up? Because obviously, if you would have said MMA fighter, everyone would have laughed at you. Because back then it wasn't possible.
I had a big poster Shaquille O'Neal in my room, and I wanted to be a basketball player, but I found out that I'm only 5'9", and when I was a freshman, I was only 98 pounds. So I found out real soon that I was going to be a basketball player. So
yeah. Real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you like to thank, and is there anything you like to say to the fans?
Look for me on the next RFA. I want to thank my sponsors, Nick and Sergio, Mantu. They always hook me up big time. They got some of the best gear. Open Mat Radio, FightPaper.co, Bitcoin, SirJasonWinters.com, Silent Art Fighter Apparel, Las Vegas Fight Docs. What else? And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's it, and thanks for having me.
Mark, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.